Hey there everyone and welcome to another community tournament. This was King Fearless's Tournament of Power. So we got a whole tournament in this video. It's going to be 3 of the clips. We're just doing the semi-finals and the final. This tournament was hosted by King Fearless, as is pretty obvious. It also had a lot of help from Alvarez. He was my go-between when we talked about this. The tournament rules, so there was a max team cost of 159. Now this was, I believe, because they didn't want to just make it exclusive to hero rank 100 plus people. I think as it turned out, everyone actually was above hero rank 100. But because of the low team cost, it means that the teams are generally smaller, so you had to have certain restrictions in there, like Death Revenge and Payback Revenge monsters. They become quite powerful when you only have a few monsters in the team, so they were limited to 1. Slugs, when you've got lower team cost, Super Epics become a bit more viable because you can then have more monsters in your team. Slugs can be a bit overpowering. When you want to encourage creativity and people doing fun things, Slugs can be a bit brutal. So they're limited to 2, and you'll see there's actually Slug Bruce is on the ban list. That's the water one, which if you feast it, it does massive damage and poisons all the enemies, which one-shots Super Epics and stuff. So yeah. Slugs were definitely under control, and then Mythics, this is not just second form Mythics, not just Awakened Mythics, it's also second form Mythics. You could only have 1 Mythic in the team, and this was so the people who had larger collections didn't sort of dominate quite as much. Now as it turns out, people with larger collections are always going to have an advantage in most tournament settings, but this limited it a little bit. Then on the ban list you have Nova Drake. Nova Drake's just stupidly powerful for a lot of things, especially on lower power level. Nova Drake is really harsh. When you've got small teams as well, the assisted Dusk AoE spam is very powerful, and it can kind of kill through quite a few monsters, which when you've got only a few monsters to back up a team, it can be, it can win a battle. So Nova Drake's out. Anki Dragon, similarly, in small teams, it becomes really quite good. Slug Bruce already mentioned. Moku, again, small teams, it's really brutal. It, kills 4 monsters by itself. It's very difficult to kill. So yeah, that's just really harsh. Now, as it turned out, you'll see in the matches, Moku wouldn't have worked so well in terms of the meta, what people played with. Moku wouldn't have worked well, which is kind of funny. But anyway, Razor Storm as well, that was out by popular vote. I'm biased because I do top level PvP and Razor Storm is not overpowered there. However, I think people worried about the Overwatch all entrance combos and stuff that people could pull off. Personally, I'd say it's a bit unreliable because you have got smaller teams. You don't know how many monsters the opponent's going to have. You'll see in some cases they had 13 monsters, other times 15 and stuff. So if you really wanted to set up Razor Storm, you would have had to make a very small team, 10 monsters or something. Between 10 and 12 to reliably pull off the combo, which restricts you. But anyway, that's what we had for the tournament rules. And then looking at the structure of the tournament, so like I said previously, we're only going over the last 3 battles, the semi-finals and the final, just because, they knew that it would be a bit much for me to go over the entire tournament. That would be multiple videos and stuff, and I have so much other stuff I want to create. There's a lot of stuff which has already happened. Unfortunately, I can't tell you why there was a round 1 before the round 2. It may have been that those people were the higher ranked players or something like that. But either way, Poison and Assassin and Zephyrin got taken out in round 1. So Catawin and Siren went on. And then you can see the round 2 there, the battles. I understand there were some pretty good battles in there, and looking at the content which we have here in this video, these battles are really, really good. So, slightly disappointed actually that we didn't get to see the earlier ones. But anyway, we're going to move into the semi-finals, and as you can see, the first one is going to be between Catawin and Prem. So we're going to watch this from Prem's side, I believe. Yeah, Prem's side. And he's got this energy charge front line where you can swift charge the Orazor to very quickly do the Plasma Blast on 2 enemies. Spectre Fox doing a really good job here, taking down that Voidress with Stealth Bane right at the beginning. And then he's got to decide what does he Plasma Blast. Now, Tricranium's going to be a big problem. That's just a horrible monster to deal with, but because of the type disadvantage, he can't take that out. Jaguardian also needs to be taken out, so really the other option is Regalian. He can't even hurt the Tricranium because killing Jaguardian is going to heal the rest of the team. So he goes for Jaguardian and Regalian. Definitely the good choice, and this is going to be brutal to get through. Sherloid is going to be a problem to get around, and then the Ball of Ashes got Camouflage. He does knockback next on the Angel line. Personally, I would have gone for a knockback random and tried to hit the Tricranium probably. But actually, that knockback nest is really smart because now the Tricranium is going to have to sacrifice the Angel Line, unless now it's going to do the double summon mortar, so it's going to be a bit slower doing that stuff. Anyway, the Bauble Basher's done the Slayerbane, and now we've got the Hellfire Mortar double, or the summon. Let's see what he does. He goes for the Hellfire Mortar double to take out this Nauta Cruiser before it really gets going. Pretty smart choice, I'd say. However, that Tricranium's now going to be slower, unless he wants to sacrifice his Angel Line. This shiny Spectre Fox can take down the very weak Spectre Fox that Prem has got. Stun Killer will do it. He goes for a Stealth Bane. I would have gone for Stun Killer, slightly faster move. The other option there was to hit Wraith Host down below 100% health, but taking out the Spectre Fox is probably the better move. Now, the Tricranium, you wouldn't have noticed there, it actually sacrificed the Angel Line, so that knockback next really paid off, getting rid of the Angel Line. I think it's probably because there's other stuff that Katawan plans to sacrifice that's in front of that Angel Line. So yeah, knockback next, doing a really good job there. Goes to the Crescendo Strike, starting to, well, not really starting to charge that up. It's done one Crescendo Strike. The Bauble Basher did the Ally Substitute, I believe, because nothing actually really had a kill other than the Orazar, and it didn't have Retribution charged either. So it was trying to get both the Slayebane and the Retribution charged to kill some things off. Gadaran goes for the Hellfire Mortar double straight off. He's being very aggressive here with the Tricranium. He must have a lot of stuff to sacrifice at the back of the team. Goes for the Spectre Fox, and it manages to go around the Protector, so that's now gone. Then he goes for another knockback next on that Spectre Fox. Pretty smart, I'd say. I probably, if I was playing, wouldn't have noticed that Katawan was being so aggressive with the Tricranium sacrificing, and realised he's going to sacrifice whatever I knock to the back of his team. So very well done by Prem here to notice that and keep knocking things back to the end. Jack-O-Tep really helping out there. So Slayebane to take down the Wraith Host. He could have gone for either Shiva Dragon or the Wraith Host. Orazor isn't going to do that much, so those are the two options to really go for. Shiva Dragon hasn't charged itself up very much, which is probably why he went for the Wraith Host instead. Definitely the better choice. So he took down the Wraith Host, and the Tricranium did another rear load, so it sacrificed that Spectre Fox. I keep mentioning it, but yeah, great value there by Prem. He goes for an HP share. That is a little bit interesting. It's probably because he doesn't want to bring in this Infernicorn. He's very scared. However, I would say Prem needs to be aggressive at some point. He can't just stall this, because these two Protectors are a problem, and the longer he keeps them in the battle, the more likely that things are going to line up for him really horribly. And you can see that Katawan is really getting through Prem's team. But Prem looked at his team a little bit earlier on, and he knows he's got this Onigeist combo with Dragoon, so that's why he really didn't want to bring in the Infernicorn. Bringing Infernicorn in would mean that, he's just going to give turn to the opponent, and he wants to be able to loop this Dragoon, pulling it back with the Soul Summon from Onigeist, and then Soul Sacrifice again. He does another knockback next on that Infernicorn, so we'll see if Katawan wants to sacrifice his Infernicorn now. He pauses for a little bit. He goes for the double summon. Yep, he doesn't want to keep throwing away stuff. So now he's got two rocks behind it. Prem turning up the heat. Went for a sleep on Flare Vern. Unfortunately, it got blocked. It does mean though he can do the Dream Hunt on the Meatoid without it being kind of more awkward. So he does a skip first before doing the Dream Hunt, trying to line up to deal with that Magmarinus a little bit better. But because he's knocked back the Infernicorn, Katawan doesn't actually have Link Fire for the Magmarinus, so Magmarinus isn't as scary as it normally is. Also, not doing the Soul Sacrifice meant that nothing's poisoned for Flare Vern, so Flare Vern's, can't really do too much. He decides to knock back the Onigeist. Onigeist was definitely going to be a problem there. Looping the Jewel Dragoon wouldn't do too much, but it would create these sleepers which would, kind of take control of the battle a bit. Magmarinus was able to get a turn with that finishing snap. And then Tricranium, it hasn't loaded, I don't believe, so but there are the two rocks there. So you know what's at the back. Actually, sorry, no, it had loaded. There's a Moji, there's Infernicorn, and then there's a Rockoid. That's what we know is at the back. Prem has got a lot of rubbish in his team. I don't know, I think he was like planning to throw stuff, or maybe it was just making up team cost. But yeah, there's actually a lot of junk left, even though there's only there's a lot of monsters left. Manages to land asleep on Magmarinus. Tricranium does the reload, so now it's got no more rocks. Padronorka, he pauses here, so killing Flarevone is definitely possible, but it's on high seconds. Bulba Basher is the one he really wants to kill. However, if he killed it now, then the Moji is going to come in and kind of purify or whatever. So in the end, he goes for Tricranium. He's just passing time. And then he can Stealth Bane the Bulba Basher, but he decides to skip first and then try and sleep the Tricranium. Unfortunately, that misses. And this is where Tricranium does its very powerful move that in some situations like this one, it's really, really good. And that is Blessing Mortar. So he's able to purify his whole team and also shield them, which means killing them now is going to be a bit of a problem. But I should note at this point, you may have noticed Cadawan doesn't really have any way to kill this Padronorka. Like, sure, Flarevone can, but Flarevone's going to die before it gets a turn. Tricranium literally can't hit it. Infernocorn can't really hit it. Magmarinus, it's going to be like fluke if it can hit it. So actually this Padronorka is pretty much going to win the battle for him. There's not much Cadawan can do. So I don't really know why he did that counter-strike there. I definitely would have removed a shield, because that Moji is not like a token Moji. It has full stats. Manages to land asleep on Magmarinus, so that's not going anywhere. And then now he just needs to kill this Moji or whatever, but like the Flarevone is the thing that can kill Padronorka, so he focuses and kills that first. And to line things up a bit better, he does a skip first, goes to Moji, and this is where Cadawan just surrenders, because like I said, he can't kill that Padronorka. There's no way he can pull this back, and looking at the monsters, he has 5, Prem still has 11. Like, a lot of those are kind of pretty useless monsters, but he doesn't know that, and sure enough, yeah, like, you know, Prem has won the battle, so very well done to Prem. I was a little skeptical when I first watched that, and I was like looking at some of the decisions being made, but those knockback nets were actually really, really good. And throughout the battle, he actually played very well in terms of planning ahead that he was going to do that stun stuff, that stun control with the Dual Dragoon. And Padronorka really came into play being the win condition. So it all played out very nicely for him. I should not have been as skeptical when I first looked at it. So next up, we have the second semi-final between Sauron and God Hades. We're going to see this from Sauron's side. It's called Judgment in the game. So we're going up against Link Fire, and this throw at the beginning, it could go for a number of things, but he's going to want the Stealth Bane from Spectre Fox, so he doesn't kill anything with it, so he can use the Stealth Bane on Bulba Basher. The throw didn't quite kill the Onigeist. So now we've got a double Retribution nicely lining up against Fire. It's not very strong, but against Fire, or one shot. The sleep, it went on Onigeist. That was just perfect for our opponent. So it couldn't kill the Asterios. Strangely, he didn't go for the Chrono Killer on Leogeist with Asterios, or the Swift Fast Strike. I'm not entirely sure, because personally I would have seen it lining up fairly well to then do the throw and take out Angel Lion and stuff, and, you know, be a bit more aggressive. But anyway, so Kinslayer can take down the Asterios, and then the Swift Attack boost. Really tricky choice now with Angel Lion. You could Purify All to remove the stealth from the team. You could Assisted Nova to hit him, like remove the shield and do that. Or you could Soul Exchange the Onigeist that's asleep. You could also Purify All, and then with the Onigeist use Soul Summon. I think it's called Soul Summon, to pull back the Angel Lion. It's very tricky to know what to do. I think personally I would have done a hit all, because I know that he's going to want to kill my Angel Lion with the Infernocorn. But anyway, he didn't use the Rex Kong. Sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly what I was going to say there. I would have personally skipped with the Atlantean to use it to kill the Padronorka when that came in, because Padronorka, we saw in the last battle, it can be very, very good, and he doesn't really have any easy way to take down the Padronorka now. So Atlantean was really his way to do it, and he didn't do that. So now Sauron has a lot of turns. At this point, I would probably Unwanted Friend, but it is Link Fire, so it's hard to know whether it's a bad idea to give them fire monsters. So instead he focuses on killing through the enemy team in this time he has. and this Magmarina's coming in poisoned was great to just take it down quite easily. The Link Fire's now gone, so the Atlantean's not really a problem at all, but I don't think Sauron knows the moveset perfectly on Atlantean, so at this point he's trying to decide what to take down. Rex Kong would be my choice, or skipping and then using Freeze Cobra to kill something, and then the Raw Chrono Killer to kill Aegis Dragon, but he decides to go for the Atlantean. We'll see if that bites him. The Detox Strike doesn't quite kill Aegis Dragon, so those two moves, they didn't quite do what you wanted. And then there was a throw to take down the Padron Orca. I don't know what he threw at that point, but yeah, it was necessary. The Padron Orca was going to be a problem. So at this point, Sauron thinks about doing the knockback on Aegis Dragon, I think on Leogeist too, but in the end he decides to just Kinslayer to take it out. I think maybe he was worried that Kinslayer wouldn't quite take it out, which is, perfectly fair enough. So Detox Strike on Ryzen, let's hope it kills it. Yeah, it does loads of damage, easily takes it out. Leogeist is going to start trying to hit the Polar Boss, I believe. The Polar Boss is, a big problem. We all know it becomes a problem. The damage is getting reasonably high for hitting water monsters. Rex Kong can't do a huge amount here. I don't think he's actually done an attack boost at any point. Probably would have been good to do an attack boost at some point, just to get it doing a bit more damage. So now Freeze Cobra can't do a whole lot, so he does a poison gas, works really nicely, poisoning Freeze Cobra. However, it did poison Polar Boss too, so the Spectre Fox could stun Killer to kill either Polar Boss or Jaw Dragoon at this point. He thinks for a little while before deciding to go for Jaw Dragoon. I don't know which one's the best choice there, really. Maybe Polar Boss, really hard to say. And then this Leogeist, it can't kill the Esperai. He could try and kill the Polar Boss, and that's what he tries to do. It doesn't quite kill the Polar Boss. But you can probably see there's just not enough that God Hades is going to have to come back in this battle. So Sauron's going to do this. He's now just got to take out these last few monsters. Makes some risky decisions, really trusting that Detox Strike only just kills the Leogeist. I definitely would have done that the other way round, killing the Bauble Basher with Freeze Cobra, and then the Leogeist with Polar Boss. But either way, these two monsters, they're not going to be able to do enough to come back in the battle. So another pretty close one, with some careful decision making in there, and some risky plays by Sauron, but he managed to do it in the end. So just got to take down this Spectre Fox. It actually takes a few seconds kind of deciding how best to do it, rather than, do I skip, do I give turn and roll fast strike? But yeah, that's it. So Sauron won that battle, very well played to him. So God Hades and the loser of the last battle, the Catalan, they both played it out to figure out who got third place and who got fourth place. Happy to say God Hades managed to win in that one, so well done to him. He got third place in this tournament. And I will say there are actually rewards for this tournament. There are a few gems given out by the devs to the winners. So I believe it was from third place upwards. So God Hades managed to get some gems from that. So now we move on to the final between Prem and Sauron. We're going to see this from Sauron's side, just in the last battle. Everyone going for the Onigai's Jaw Dragoon combo. So Sauron's using the same team, Prem has switched to what everyone else seems to be running, and this is kind of why I said that Moku isn't going to work particularly well, because Jaw Dragoon has the knockback that would have countered Moku, and also it's countering like the Tricranium and stuff, which seemed reasonably popular, I believe. Anyway, Sauron is actively creating this combo by using the Cannibalize to start it off. He has got fewer monsters in the team though, so it's going to trade up pretty well. He goes for the Retribution, which went around the Romanoid. I am slightly surprised he went for the Oniggeist in that case. I mean, maybe he was just worried that the sleep was going to get going and stuff, but Oniggeist is tanky, so it didn't do a whole lot. He also needs to deal with this Polar Boss at some point. Now, Romanoid is a bit of a problem to deal with, because when you kill Romanoid, it wakes up the whole team. So, as he's trying to loop this Jaw Dragoon and get more sleeps on the enemy team, those sleeps are going to be counteracted as soon as Romanoid dies. Romanoid also has Repulse to get rid of the Leogeist, so now he can stun pulse anything he wants. I would go for the Oniggeist, so yeah, he went for the Oniggeist. Now he's going to try and sleep this Polar Boss. It doesn't work, it gets blocked by Romanoid. and this Polar Boss is starting to get going. So this is quite scary for Sauron. Looks like Prem's in a better position. This Oni guy still can't do anything because something hasn't died, so it can't use the Soul Summon yet. And Sauron thinks about using this ally substitute. I don't know why I said substitute. Yes, so he does that on the Jewel Dragoon. That's kind of why the Bubble Bash is there. So another stun comes in. This time it hits the Oni Geist. He really doesn't want to kill that Romanoid because both those monsters are going to wake up. I mean, Fluster Drake Iris, it doesn't really matter because that's stunned to 900 seconds. The sleep gets blocked by Romanoid yet again. Polar Voice damage, really getting going. And at this point he goes for the Kinslayer and then he realises, oh, I can just knock back this Polar Boss. And also knocking back the Romanoid so the Oni Geist is not going to get woken up. That's pretty good. There is this Fluster Drake Lotus now though, which we'll see. He's going to do some pretty good work, because this Jewel Dragoon does the Unwanted Friend. Yeah, that was the smart choice. There's a Bronze Shell next in line now, which is going to be a problem for Sauron. He uses the pair Rockoid Morph, I think that's what it's called, to get rid of the Fluster Drake Iris. Pretty smart choice, because he's still got stun protection behind, and that Iris was not going to do anything at all. Now he gets to turn with Angel Line, and to be honest, the Oni Geist isn't going to do much good here. So it's about to be killed off by Sauron's Oni Geist, and having Fluster Drake Iris back would actually be really nice because it can start stunning Sauron's team. So he uses Soul Exchange on Oni Geist, and from here it's actually really not looking good for Sauron because that Fluster Drake Iris is going to start stunning the team. We've got one kill on the Fluster Drake Lotus, and because it killed a teammate, Retribution is charged. Two things have died since then. So Retribution is charged. Now Bloodthirst is charged. Fluster Drake Lotus. We've got the Blood Fury on Angel Lion, and also Fluster Drake Iris can stun the team. So this is really not looking good for Sauron. So we've got to the Leogeist. There is stun protection in there now. So Fluster Drake Iris just did the Accelerate, and it's gonna just have to hope this Leogeist can get going. But no, of course it can't because the Kinslayer took it out. Dream Hunt on Fluster Drake Lotus would be quite nice here. I think Fluster Drake Lotus is going to be a problem, but at the same time, maybe he's thinking, okay, I'm going to force Angel Lion to do the Purify Hall, as well as wanting to save his Bauble Basher to get that in to do something. But to be honest, I'd think the Fluster Drake Lotus is going to get woken up, and then it can just immediately Bloodthirst the Bauble Basher. So waking up the Bauble Basher isn't going to help that much. And sure enough, we actually went for Throw. I guess that's for the lower seconds, but he should have the Bloodthirst charged. So now Jewel Dragoon can't do too much, so it just does the Kinslayer. And sure enough, Fluster Drake Iris stuns Oni Geist. It has 3 of those stuns, so it's going to have a lot of control here. And the Angel Lion being here isn't going to do anything because it's just going to die off before it gets a turn. Now we can Bloodthirst something. The Patronorca, obviously. Then he can stun the Onigo, is probably the best choice to stop any sleep from going on there. Alright, can Sauron come back into the battle with his endgame? We saw it do well last time, that Freeze Cobra with Polar Boss and stuff, the Detox Strike's going on, and obviously Esperai is a great monster for taking out, basically anything you want. Jewel Dragoon can't do too much again, but it can do the knockback. Personally, I'd actually think about doing, knocking back the Freeze Cobra, and then the other choice being Oni Geist. So you just bring in the Polar Boss when it's not poisoned and stuff. He went for the Onigo though, so a little bit more aggressive, bringing in multiple monsters. It's slightly more risky, but even so, looks just about okay, because you can Bloodthirst the Makatsuo, and then this Oni Geist can't really do too much. Polar Boss can't stun, it's not charged on Crescendo, doesn't have Detox Strike, and the kind of Shogun that comes in can't do too much either. So Prem isn't keeping it under control, and nothing's really died on Prem's team for quite a while now, So he's getting a pretty resounding victory right here. Flame Eater, I don't know how much damage it does. He does have the piercing right now. I would be very tempted to go for the Flame Eater, but then again, I don't have Cannon Shogun, so I don't know if that would have killed the Angel Lion, and he was going to give turn to it straight afterwards, so, you know, perhaps it's not, there's no point to that. Unfortunately, the Bloodthirst doesn't quite kill Flutterdrake Lotus. It probably would have killed the Flutterdrake Iris, because that's got lower health, but the Lotus was the problem monster to take out. Then Prem very cleverly got rid of the Jewel Dragoon with Flutterdrake Lotus. There wasn't really an opportunity for that earlier on, but he was able to do it at that point to bring in the Padron. And is there anything Sauron can do to come back here? The one charged Bloodthirst on Onigeist just isn't doing enough damage, and this Padron can take out anything at once. He's got the charge sweeping on Flutterdrake Lotus. Yeah, this isn't looking good for Sauron. Sauron can't really make it back from here, but yeah, very good control by Prem. The only thing that I would pick out that he did incorrect, like everything was perfect. The only thing I'd pick out is that raw double knockback, where I would have probably not knocked back the Onigo. I would have just done the Freeze Cobra and then the other choice on the Onigeist, so that only one enemy came in, you didn't bring in two, and then you could, you know, more controlled sweeping through it. I don't know whether it would have played out better, but that was just the one thing which I would have picked out there. And he has some really nasty monsters behind that, you know, it's so much in reserve that you could have won with. Yeah, really resounding victory to Prem in the end. So great job to him. I really enjoyed covering this tournament. Thanks very much to Alvarez and King Fearless for passing me the clips to make this video. I hope you enjoyed the commentary and having a look at these final three battles that went on, excluding the one for third place. As I said, Prem won the tournament, Sauron got second place, and God Hades got third place. If you want to join in with future tournaments like this, they are mainly done on the Discord. There'll be the link in the description, and probably I'll put a comment as well, a pinned comment, so you can follow that link to go join the Discord. If it's out of date, then just go to the New Monsters forum and kind of ask for an up-to-date Discord thing, Discord link to join. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a video soon.